Welcome back to Working Class Customs YouTube channel. Welcome back once again and again and again and again to Stable B, our favorite place. This is Stable B. This is where we work on motorcycles when we're not out riding them at the racetrack, and where we film quite a few of these videos. So most of these videos are tech tips or little opinions or like maybe some riding tips or just bike tips in general. And then sometimes we finish up some reviews here in Stable B, but we love Stable B. So today we are here for another tech tip and a part change out tip, I think is the way I'm gonna put it. So the tip that I have for you today is about a part that I think would be worth getting, whether you ride on the street or on the track. And I've talked about this part before in like a top 5 upgrades video that I did. So go check out that video for some other ideas also. But today we're gonna dive into this one specifically and give a little bit more reasoning behind it and why I love it so much. So before we get into it, as always, please click the subscribe button down below on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I just said that. I said it twice, so you might as well do it. Throw a like on the video, and then if you have any questions about this part or the ease of install, which we'll talk about a little bit throughout the video, let me know down in the comments section, or as always, you can hit me up on Instagram at JKMotoPodcast and ask me any and all questions there. I will get them answered. We'll get you guys the answers that you need to your questions. So without further ado, let's get into the Motion Pro Rev-2 or 3 or 1, the quick turn throttle review video. Now here with us today, once again, is our 2008 Suzuki GSXR 750, and over here in the right corner, our 2009 Suzuki GSXR 750. Almost identical bikes, but one is still in its street get up as we bought it, minus a couple little things, namely exhaust. She's got some slicks on her, and we took the lowering link out so that she's back up to stock height, and she's doing pretty good. But this over here is our fully faired race bike. That's not actually a race bike at all, but a track bike in full track get up. And what we have on here that we did not have on here gives us a unique opportunity to talk about the big difference and see it kind of real time in person. That is our Motion Pro Rev-2 quick turn throttle. So I've talked about this a little bit. This is not necessarily a review on this product. I don't have any video footage of the product itself being used, which is kind of hard. I don't want to just like have a video of my hand on the track, but we are going to do a sweet little measurement experiment today to see the actual difference between the stock throttle and the quick turn. Let me grab a couple parts to show you guys something real quick out of my nifty part box. So this is from Motion Pro. They make a lot of cool products, specifically mostly track related products for motorcycles. And I love their stuff. Pretty much everything that comes from Motion Pro is good. I've got a couple different things. I'm always looking to get more. So if you have any recommendations, leave those down in the comments. Also, if there's any tools that I'm missing that Motion Pro has or any parts that I'm missing that they have, let me know down in the comments. But big thing that I'll show you a little bit closer view of it here in a second is the Motion Pro Quick Turn Throttle. They changed the name from Quick Turn back in like version 1 to Rev-2, and I think they're up to Rev-3 now. But these little guys, one, blue, red, yellow, black, and the one that's in there is orange, are your throttle wheels. And they have different percentages on them. And do they say on there? Yep, so I got a 40, I got a 45, 50, and I got a 35. So 35 is gonna be the smallest. So that should be, if I remember right, they're so out of order. But anyway, your 50 is gonna be your smallest, i.e. it takes the smallest amount of turn to turn the throttle. I don't have any of these in because what I have in is their cammed wheel, which is a very unique one that they offer. And I threw it on there because that's what was recommended from one of the videos that I watched, and I absolutely love it. And what that cam does is it gives you a slow open and then a quick ramp up at the end. So it gives you a very nice, easy and even throttle control on the bottom end of your throttle. And then as you start to open it, it opens it more. So it's got a cam to it. And as far as that wheel goes, I think that wheel is great. If you can handle yourself in the middle of a corner, only cracking that throttle a little bit, you can go for a smaller wheel and get even less turn required. But we're gonna measure specifically the difference between this turn and that turn over there. And obviously we could just go off the percentage for the other ones. So I'm not gonna measure those ones, and I have this one installed. So what we're gonna do for that is we're gonna grab our nifty pink paint marker here, and we're gonna mark where the throttle starts and where it stops, and then we'll grab a tape measure and measure it. And we're gonna do that on both bikes. So if you're new to the channel, we do have a podcast. It's called JK Moto Podcast, and my co-host Cole makes an appearance on the podcast every week and makes an appearance on the channel here and there. So if you ever see him in person or in the comment section down below, it'll be like, hey, nice pink bike, Cole, because there will be a little bit of pink on this bike at the end of the day, but we might wipe it off. We might not. We'll see. So anyway, let him know that you enjoy the pink on his bike, because I'm sure he's gonna love it. But anyway, we're gonna get into this. I'll show you guys kind of the open and shut, and then I'll mark it up with some paint and show you what that paint looked like, because you should be able to see it from the camera. We'll set the camera up so you can see it good, and we'll get them both marked off and then measure them and show you the actual difference. And that's gonna be measured in, we'll probably do it in millimeters or centimeters. Why would we do millimeters? We're not gonna do millimeters, we're gonna do inches. We're actually gonna do millimeters because it's gonna be a little bit more accurate with millimeters and get a lot better picture of the difference, because I don't think it's gonna be huge, but it does feel a lot different. I'll talk more about that after we get this measurement out of the way. So let's get measuring and see what we get. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. That's about the turn we're getting. I do have the mark on the grip right here, which is what we're gonna go off of. There's one on the other grip on the other handlebar also, or on the other bike. And that's kind of dumb. You can't put the lid on the thing. There will also be pink on my bike at the end of this, but I think it's worth it. And to be honest, these paint markers wipe off pretty easily. So the first thing we're gonna do, there's a little bit of play in this throttle. So we're gonna take that to where there's no play, and I'm gonna put a dot. Dot. Then we're gonna twist it all the way. There's all the way. I'm gonna put a second dot. Dot. Boom, just like that we have it. So you can see that first dot. Hopefully you can see it. Oh yeah, you can totally see those. Either way, I'll bring it in a little closer. So that first dot, if you look at the line, let's see, there it is. That line's a little bit past it, but right there is where it engages. So that's just that little bit of play in that tube, what you wanna have in there. So there's where it engages, and there's where it stops and it returns. Like I said, engagement and stop. So we're gonna pull the tape measure out and see what that looks like. Once again, like I said, we'll be measuring this in millimeters. So I'm gonna wrap this tape measure from here. This is a rounded tape measure. We're gonna take, start at that 4 mark, put that right in between. Hit a 4 to the 5 to the 65. So that would be 25 to 26 millimeter pull on that throttle tube. So now we'll go over, do the same thing on the other bike. All right, now that we got this one in view, once again, this is Cole's Gixxer, East Coast track machine, as we call it. Working Class Customs East Coast track machine. So we're gonna take this one, get it taut, okay? Same line, right up, boom, little pink dot. Gonna pull it all the way and put our second pink dot. Please understand, pink paint markers and dots and me and eyeballs are not always the most accurate thing in the world. So hopefully we see a cool difference here. You guys are seeing this for the first time with me, which is awesome. Once again, we're gonna start at that 4, and holy cow, that's a big difference. So I got the 4, we go to the 5, the 6, and the 7, all the way down to 72 to 73. So that's 32 to 33 millimeters, which is almost 10 millimeters more. 10 millimeters makes a centimeter, which is almost a ½ inch more pull. All right, so there you go. That's a big difference. It's almost 10 millimeters, it's just shy, about 7 to 8. I'll be honest, that was actually a lot more than I thought I was gonna see. I haven't looked at the percentage on that cam wheel, and I'm sure it's got it written down in there. I love the cam wheel. This is kind of where this product review comes in and why I think everyone should get one of these, even if you're on the street. To pull a throttle like that, actually wide open, takes so much work. You have to kind of like grab it, and let's see, let's start like way down. So you're grabbing, and then you get caught up like this, and your wrist is all stuck. So you kind of have to like thumb, re-grab, and then go, and you can go the rest of the way. With this throttle set up like this, if I'm on the bike just normal like this, I can pull it all the way, no problem. And then that cam wheel is so awesome because it gives you a difference on that, like I said, on that bottom end. When you're in the middle of a turn and maintenance throttle in the turn, you don't want to crack that throttle and have it just take off on you. That's gonna upset you, upset the bike, and could end up with you not being on that bike anymore, which is never good. So that cam wheel is super awesome for that. It gives you really good low speed throttle control, and then it just ramps it up ever so quick. And like I said, if we say that's about 32, 33 millimeters, you take your other ones, you get the 45, 40, 50, and 35, I think, which I'm pretty sure is percent of travel. So that 35, that black one is, I know for a fact that's your smallest one. That's a scary one. That's the one that's like, whoop, you're there. That's 100%. But when you get around to the main straight, I'll say for like a track day junkie that's not necessarily racing yet, a stock throttle is just perfectly fine. But you get to that main straight and you got to pull it, and you usually have to kind of like either palm it and grab around, or hit it with your thumb and grab around, or like beforehand, you're making sure you set yourself up by grabbing super far. And then when you let go, you have to actually physically like fully let go. It's just a pain. And these are not expensive. They come in right around $250 to $300. The install, we'll talk about that in a second, but for the money, I think it's great. Like I said, even on the street, having that cam wheel in there can be useful. So like if you're riding your street bike at the track quite a bit, like if you're just riding on the street, get to the track. What are you doing? but I don't know that I would recommend it. It doesn't really matter. The amount of times that you need full throttle on a bike like this on the street is literally 0 because you'll just break a speed limit no matter where you are in first gear. And chances of being in first gear are low. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. Get yourself to the racetrack, and when you get to the racetrack, you're gonna hit the front straight and be like, oh, it takes a lot of work to actually full throttle this thing. That's when you're gonna think about getting one of these. So I think it's a sweet, cheap upgrade. Reasonable to do on your own. Man, it is so humid down here. I'm sweating like crazy. I apologize. But you gotta pull the tank, pull your air box. You don't have to pull your air box, but it helps. It's a lot easier if you could just drop the engine out, but obviously you're not gonna do that. But pulling the old one off, great, easy all day. Plan yourself a half hour, you're done. Putting the new one in, probably about a half hour install after you get those new throttle cables around your throttle body down on the engine. Those are just like so snugged up against the frame. I've done it on 2 bikes now. Both of them were exactly the same. Neither of them were easy. It's a whole bunch of just playing in there, maybe some screwdrivers to try and get that throttle cable in there. But once you get it in, you're done, it's easy, it's one time, not too bad. Then you get it all put back together and you get a much, much shorter throttle throw, throttle pull, which is amazing. It makes a huge difference out on the racetrack for sure. Like I said, especially when you get to that main straight, if it's super long, you're trying to grab. And if you don't have clutchless shifting, you're letting go every time. It's just a pain. The quick turn throttle is a nice, simple, cheap upgrade that anyone can do. It'll help you kind of get a little bit more in tune with the internals of your motorcycle. By that I mean like actually taking a tank off and doing more than just oil change and lube and clean on your chains. So if you're looking to do a little bit deeper maintenance, looking for a nice upgrade and something that's gonna make it a little bit easier out on the racetrack, I definitely recommend the quick turn throttle. Motion Pro makes one of the only ones that I know about. They definitely make the best one. The only other thing to note is that if you're doing it specifically on a Suzuki, I think the other brands are pretty good about it, but actually I can just show you guys this. If you're doing this on a Suzuki specifically, your throttle tube and housing is built into your switch. So this is an aftermarket switch. I went with Woodcraft because I wanted to do a key delete. There's no key in here. It would be underneath this lap timer. And it's great because now, 1, I can't forget my key because I don't have one. And 2, my lap timer gets to sit there nice and easy and not be around the key and all annoying. And then you get this cool switch that turns on the bike. You still have your modes and your start. So that's great. I went with Woodcraft on this bike. You don't have to do Woodcraft. Motion Pro makes one, but just to show you the opposite on the stock bike, you can see that here's your throttle tube. Well, here's the tube under the grip, but here's the housing for that wheel, and it's totally built into that switch. So if you're gonna put one on these bikes, you do have to get an aftermarket switch. That adds a little bit of money, but Motion Pro makes an option for that. Like I said, I went with a Woodcraft so I could also do a key delete, and I've loved that quite a bit. And they have like your external power. So they have power that just comes off that automatically. You connect this up to your battery, you have to, and then power comes off of it so you can run your lap timer right off the switch, which is great because then when you turn that on, lap timer turns on and then it charges while you're riding the bike. So it's great. And man, cameras are freaking weird. Sometimes they flash, sometimes they don't. I don't know how they work. I'm not a tech guy, I'm a motorcycle guy, and I barely know how those work. So bear with me there. But anyway, that's our review on the Motion Pro Rev-2 specifically for this bike. But like I said, I think they're on version 3 now. They've had a couple different versions. I can't recommend it enough. It makes the bike just so much better, so much easier. And with this cammed wheel, it's not a big enough difference that you're like, whoa, and you're being freaked out or anything like that. In the corner, I didn't even feel a difference at all. It was just purely once I got to a straight and I went to full throttle, I could do it without having any other thoughts or any problems with it. So I love it. I recommend it to everyone. It's cheap, it's good, it's easy. Like I said, I just can't say enough good about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little kind of test. We saw almost 10 full millimeters of difference, which is awesome. It was good to kind of show that. When you convert that to the, the full size of the circle, that's quite a bit of difference. So it definitely helps out a lot. So like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and hopefully you're enjoying the channel. If you are, and you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel down below and throw a like on the video while you're down there. And then we'll see you guys all next week in next week's video. Thanks for watching.